All right, and we are live. Thanks everyone for joining. I had to briefly disconnect there. What I've decided to do this stream, since the last stream was I don't know, I'm at this Airbnb, the internet connection's not quite as good, and last time we were getting a lot of dropped frames. So what I did now is I downsampled my output to 720p, and hopefully that'll be about right with the internet connection that I have. But yeah, just let me know if you see a lot of dropped frames or if there's any problem with the connection. I'm not sure there's much I can do about it at this point, but I want to know anyway. Okay, so today we're gonna do something a little bit different. At work, we've been talking a lot recently about TextField, and TextField is probably one of the more important APIs that Compose is going to expose, and it's important and difficult to get right, I think is the thing. And so we've been talking a lot about how we could tweak the API and what the layers of abstraction should be and stuff like that. And so I want to be able to have a good understanding of what the current problems are and what I might be able to suggest as far as changes or anything like that. And how I think a good way to do that is to just basically sit down and just try and do with TextField some things that you would likely do with TextField in a real app, more complicated type things. And so we're just gonna try that. I think what I'll do, we head over to VS Code here. I want to just kind of write down a few things that we might try. Hey Abir, how's it going? Hey Dev Souza. So let's see. I mean, and also I'm looking for help from you all. If you have ideas or complicated use cases that you think would actually happen in real life with TextField, let me know, and we'll try and prototype something out. Just right off the top of my head, one example is a TextField that grows in size. Grows in size with the text you are writing. So I can imagine a chat app or something. You might have a text field on the bottom of the screen, and as you're typing, you go from a single line to 2 lines, and maybe the text field grows in that case, so that it all fits on screen. I've seen that several times. So let's try and build that. So Abir says, I want to create a pin view to take OTP. Could you please show me a direction? Sorry, Abir, I'm not sure what it is you mean by create a pin view to take OTP. If you could explain that more, I might be able to point you in the right direction. And Suha says, good morning. My mornings are much more productive when you are live at this time. Good to hear. What Suhas, what time is it for you over there? So another use case, I guess, is this is maybe more obvious, but a visual transformation, such as a phone number, where we format things and correct numbers and things like that. So that would be an example of one. Another thing that I think would be interesting is when So for instance, when we type into Google, I guess this is, it's a little bit different, I guess, for Google. But what I'm thinking is when when you start typing, to have the, like, maybe you have a set of like a database of possible values, and then what you do is you use that the stuff you typed in as like a prefix query for the available options, and then you take the top one and you like finish it so the whole value is present in the text field, but it's also completely selected. And like I've seen that pattern a few times. So like, I don't know what we call that. It's like a look ahead autocomplete type experience with selection. Suas says he's in Melbourne. Nice. Yeah, it's quite far away. To enter a 6-digit code for 2-factor authentication. Okay, yeah, that's a good use case. Like one of the things I've seen with that is like, you know, it's like if it's a 6-digit code, they're like 6 separate boxes, and as soon as you type in one, it kind of moves you to the next one. We could try something like that. 6-digit code text box thing. Okay, so I'll take this as like a starting point. Please, if anyone has any more ideas, just shoot them in the chat while we're working on this. Okay. What I have open here is actually the project management app, which I'm just gonna use that as a playground to start doing our own thing here. So let's create a new Kotlin file, and let's just say TextField playground. Okay. That. So here, if I just do something like that, just to make sure we're in the right ballpark here. Let's run that, see what we look like. Go over to okay. So right before I started the stream, I just upgraded to Alpha 7, and I think there are a few issues because of that. So let's see, why is that? Layout. Let's see. Then. All right, not sure why that didn't like work automatically. I guess there must have been some import missing here. Yeah, I don't know if that moved or what, but I guess that's needed now and wasn't before. Let's see if that builds. By the way, how's the connection quality? Is anyone experiencing dropped frames, or does it seem pretty good? Simid says drops a little sometimes. Seems good into now. Seems pretty good. The audio seems out of sync. That's interesting. I mean, I've had some other people mention that as well. Does the audio seem out of sync for everyone? Okay. Simid says not for me, not on Twitch. All right. Well, hopefully that's not a widespread issue then, but okay, good. Seems fine on Twitch. Maybe if someone on YouTube can say if the audio is good or bad. Seems like Shinigami, it's bad for him, but I'm wondering if it's just him or if it's everyone. Okay, so now we've got our hello world showing up, so everything's compiling. That's good. So now here we are. Okay. Chuck says sounds good to me. So it sounds like a few people on YouTube say the audio is okay. So I'm not sure what the issue is. Yeah, let me know if you have any ideas on how I could fix it, but for now I'm just gonna assume that it's something I can't do anything about. Okay, so let's try this first kind of example that I thought of, which was we basically want to grow the text field as the value grows. So let's see that. I'm gonna put my phone somewhere here. Let's create a value. So let's call it message. Remember mutable state of. I'm just going to do a string here. Import that, and I just know that this is going to yell at me for the whole get value, set value thing. So I'm going to add that manually. Okay, and let's start off with the material text field and just see how that works out for us. And so in alpha 7, I believe that's just text field. And value is going to be message. On value change is going to be message equals it, right? And great. Let's go ahead and see what that looks like. Remember. Terminate, I guess. I don't know why it's asking me that. So Tutor says, "Hey there, new haircut." Yeah, this is a haircut done by my wife. I think it looks pretty good. I tried. It was getting really long before. Really gross almost. So I probably waited too long, but I always feel bad asking her to cut my hair because it's kind of a stressful thing, cutting someone's hair if it's like not your job or something. So let's add a little bit of padding here. All right, lots of imports. So in addition to the padding, okay, so let's see, what happens if I start typing here. Hello, this is me typing from the software keyboard. So interesting. I didn't know this about TextField, but it looks like it actually has this behavior by default. It grows be multiple. Wow, so that's interesting. Like I'm pretty happy by this. I think a lot of text fields in other toolkits don't do this just because it's a bit more expensive to calculate layout in this manner. So potentially, like what that tells me is that the layout of our text field could potentially be a little bit quicker by default if we chose not to have this be the default behavior, but maybe this is the better default behavior. I kind of like that. One thing that, like, I don't know, it's debatable though, because sometimes if you have like multiple of these in like a form, and like let's say you paste in like a really big value, then that might not be what you want, because then the form would just like grow significantly. But so text field here has a max lines parameter, which lets you, so it defaults to int.max value, which is nice. And so I guess I could put 1 here, and then that would be the other like sort of reasonable default. So let's see, I am catching up on some comments here. Biolon says new house, new haircut. Yeah, this isn't a new house. This is an Airbnb that I'm staying in, but it's a new location for sure. Good to see you around. Yes, it is default. Tristan says, just caught the stream. Is there any example of state management and DI? Yeah, I would suggest looking at the composed samples. There's a few apps, and I'm not sure if any of them have DI yet. They might, but definitely some state management there. Also, the Compose Pathways there's a new article all about state management, which I suggest you check out if you haven't yet. Sean says, finally viewing this live. Hey, good to have you here, Sean. Shinigami asks, could it be made collapsible or expandable? That's a good question. So let's give that a try real quick, right? Expanded true. And so what we can do here is we just have this expanded boolean, and then we say max lines if expanded, then int dot max value, else 1, right? And then in addition to this, we can render a checkbox, and checked here can be expanded, and onCheck change can be expanded equals it. Right. So let's try that. Did it just crash? Is that what happened? Yeah, it looks like it crashed. Okay. Outer measurable, placeable. This makes me very upset. Surface should allow multiple children. I really don't like this. I'm writing that down. Hold on, I'm trying to find my list of feedback here. Feedback. Surface should allow multiple children. Yeah, I mean, I want us to, at least for first party composables, I want us to hold a pretty hard line on every composable we provide you should allow for multiple children. And I personally, I think that's a rule that everyone should follow. And I don't like that it's one that we don't. But okay, so we'll just do that. Import. So I'm just gonna move this here. All right, so we'll try that. Okay, so I'm gonna write in this is multiple lines. So then if I hit that, then that's gonna go here. All right, so that's good. That works correctly. So, all right. Honestly, I'm gonna call this first example done. I didn't realize that this was the default, and accomplishing this in other toolkits is much more difficult. And so, go ahead and call this a win that we can do this pretty easily. In our case, so. So let's see, I'm gonna split this into a new composable, growing TextField. And so I'll just leave this here in the source code so that we can, reference it if we want to. But let's go to a different example. So, and then this should go here. So let's do the visual transformation of, like, say, a phone number. Ellipsize at the end. Mohammed says. Vivek says, if service allows multiple children, then what would it use to add the items box? Maybe. So it's the implementation detail of service that, well, it's part of the contract that service would provide, but it would choose whichever one they think makes sense. It could be column, could be box. If they're worried about performance or something, maybe they choose box. Personally, I think column is reasonable, but yeah. Yeah, so Mohammed says, what about ellipsize at the end? That seems like a weird thing to do on a text field, I think. Because you want to, if you're editing the value, you don't want the ellipses to kind of feel like they're editable when the actual value is something else. You could accomplish this with a visual transformation, but again, I'm as far as like user experience and stuff, I'm not sure that you would want to. And by the way, for folks following along, Siamid S on the chat, Siamid's on the Compose team and is the tech lead for all of the tech stuff. So I'm glad that he's here, but so if any of you are wondering who that is. Okay, so let's do a visual transformation. I don't want the checkbox anymore. And let's call this a phone number. And we can set max lines, I guess, if we want. And there is so there's a visual transformation class here, which actually, hold on. So I'm curious if there's any. So I see there's visual transformation.none, but there's nothing else. Okay, so let's just go ahead and take a look at this. Pretty straightforward. So the filter here takes an annotated string and returns transform text. Okay, transform text gives us that, and then an offset map, which, what is that here? Original to transformed. Interesting. Okay. So I wonder, I mean, this is it's interesting that there's a, so I guess the recommendation is to use a password filter here to use like the, you know, the little stars showing up. I'm wondering if password should be a built-in like a built-in visual transformation. I don't know. That might be one that's like common enough that we should use it. Like something like credit card, that's also super common, but I could also see, I could see the logic behind us not wanting to support something like this, like, you know, with some nuance or something that I might have. It would also be interesting. I mean, I think it would be neat for someone to have like a small GitHub repo or something with with like several of these visual transformations that kind of accomplish common tasks, and you know, to have people kind of use those. I'm not sure what other, I mean, so there's phone number, credit card, and password are like 3 off the top of my head. I wonder how many more there are that are like really common. But let's implement one. So let's say phone number transformation. What happens when you class lines? Should you be able to scroll if max lines is 1? So Brad Campbell asked, should you be able to scroll if max lines is 1, but the text content is larger than 1 line? Yes, you should. So the TextField implementation should have the scroll. So we should be able to show that here. I'm not sure. Doesn't look like it's. Well, it is good to bring that up because it doesn't appear to be working very well as far as that's concerned. Yeah. So I think that's, thank you for pointing that out, because I think that is actually maybe not working as intended here. But it is interesting to say, because max lines being 1, like here, let's just let's go back to the growing text field example. There we go. Phone number field. All right, so we're doing growing text field here. And okay, so we're back here. So I think if we didn't set max lines, right, and instead we did like a dot height. If we did a fixed height instead, which I'm not really sure what it should be, but let's say it's like 45 dp or something, right? Let's see what that looks like. So I mean, I used the wrong thing here, but is this scrollable now? It doesn't look like it. This selection is kind of goofy here. Let's see what happens. I want to make actually, let's make get something a little bit bigger here. So let's say it's 120 dp. Oh, disconnected my phone here. Okay. All right, so also another interesting thing is that it strikes me as odd that the text is centered vertically when I've adjusted my height. I wonder if that's what we want. I don't know. I'm just gonna put it out there. That's a subjective choice, right? Like I'm not sure if it's necessarily a bug. It's just it wasn't what I expected. Let's see, when specify large height, text is centered vertically, not put in top left. Yeah, I would expect it to be aligned at the top. But so, and then if I enter in here, let's do this here, and now I want to see, okay, so I can scroll through it now, but when it was a smaller height, it was difficult for me to do that. So I wonder if there's like, you know, a tap target thing that's you know, should maybe be thought about. Not sure. Scrolling, TextField felt difficult when it was a single line. Okay, so let's play around with selection again, because I felt like we just saw some weird behavior there. Although this is definitely difficult behavior to define. Okay, so if I hit select all, then it chooses the bounds of the text that like would have been the case if we saw all of the text. I'm honestly not sure if that's the right behavior or the wrong behavior, but it feels a little weird to have the selection handles outside of the bounds of the text box when I'm like this, right? So that just, it feels broken, but I'm also not sure what the right behavior should look like. Because having the selection handle up in the text box when the bottom is actually below it, that also feels weird. So I don't know. But yeah, so that's some interesting behavior. Is there anything else we want to try? I've missed a few chats here. Let me see what so Alex says they added a single line Boolean param in Alpha 8, which I think is what you're supposed to use for horizontal scrolling. Okay. Right, so if it's single line, then the text is just going to grow beyond the bounds of the like the horizontal bounds of the text box, which makes sense. It is interesting. I mean, describing that with like max line, like if you had max lines and single line as two parameters, that's a little bit strange. Okay, so Biavalon says usually you would see scroll until the end so you can see the end. Max lines and scrolling together had a bug and there's a change. Okay, so maybe this is kind of dealt with in master, I'm not sure. Okay. So I do wonder, I'm trying to think what the normal Android behavior is here. Like, I guess this is normal. Yeah, okay, it's normal, never mind. Okay, let's go to the, let's go back to the next example. So, phone number field. And so what we want to do, let's see, let's have this implement visual transformation. So here's filter, and what do I get here? So, all right, I get offset map. So here's an identity offset map, which let's implement our own here. Offset map. Okay. Hey, KPT Irony. I'm not sure how to pronounce that name. Okay, so identity would be this, right? We'd have return offset here and return offset. Makes sense. So one of the cool things that you can do here is that it hands you an annotated string, which at the moment, TextField is still defined in terms of normal strings. Is that right, Siamid? I think that was my understanding. It's like TextField value is still a string, right? Yeah. So TextField value still currently a string, but at some point it could be an annotated string, which would allow us to like really like have a TextField be like a rich text editor almost, like pretty easily. Which is really cool, really cool. But I mean, the neat thing is that even without that, this transformation, it lets us annotate the string that comes in, and so we could like colorize, you know, this input or something if we wanted to. So let's like not change offsets or anything at the moment, but one thing we could do is just like do what is the annotated string build? This is interesting. I think we should have something like this, so you can build a span string. I think we do, but it should be named that way as well. Like where is this used? Like I think it's builder. I see. So it's a dot builder. Is that what? Yeah. And then do we have this somewhere else? So usages. Foundation. I think this is it. Okay. So we have this function. Which that's nice, I guess. So you can do something like this. And what does this give me? So I can, and yeah. So this is almost like, this is like identity, right? But if I wanted to say, what do I do here? So I add style. Is there like a with style? Yeah, okay. So I can do with style. Yeah, I kind of wish this gave me, so here, if I want to do font style dot italic, and I can do color, color dot blue, right? So, I mean, at the moment, this has nothing to do with phone numbers, but I just want to demonstrate the visual transformation thing here, because I think that's pretty neat. So let's just go ahead and try and work with that. Siemit says build annotated string should be there. Okay, I'll look for it in a second. Brad Campbell says our TextField widget has a sealed class for lines with single and multiple as two options. A little clearer than defining both single line and max lines, in my opinion. Yeah, you could do something like that. Siemit says is the annotated string builder that I found was what we're thinking. Yeah, I think build annotated string. I mean, honestly, like annotate the lowercase annotated string, it like looks nice as well. But the Kotlinism of like build blank has already sort of been defined, so I think it's better that we follow that convention. So I'm gonna write down that string to build string. I mean, it is wordier, right? It's more to type, but I think maybe people will look for the build blank. So it's like similar to build string. All right. So phone number transformation. I mean, we can just we'll just make that an object instead. All right. Try with that. Okay, so now when I type this in, this is going to end up as italic and blue, which is cool. So I mean, you can see how even though the text field is only accepting text like normal strings right now, you could use this transformation to do like pretty powerful things. And then eventually we'll actually get the annotated string variant of the text field value, which will allow you to do like pretty sophisticated editor like behavior with text field, which I think is neat. So let's figure out how to do the phone number thing. All right. So KPT Arnie says, when you got a minute, could you take a look at this code and briefly explain how it works? It's been bugging me for a few days because it really shouldn't work. Awesome stream, by the way. Thanks for doing it. Yeah, we can look at that later on in the stream. Let me try to finish working on this example though. But thanks for asking. Okay. I'm trying to think. Let's just I think I might be able to. No. All right. I'm not sure that this is the right way to do this right now, but like let's play around with this option. So if I do, I think capital W is going to be anything that's not a word, or anything that's not a digit. I think is what I want. See if that works. And then, so the new value I am going to give it is just empty string. So let me explain. There's a few things I'm debating in my head right now. Yeah, so Sego, who also works on text at Google, by the way. So hey Sego, thanks for joining in. He says you can find more visual transformation examples and compose various input fields. .kt. Yeah, so I assume that there is a sample that probably is exactly what I want to write here, but I don't really want to cheat and look at it. I think I'm gonna try and like struggle on my own here and see what sort of friction I run into. That's at least my way of thinking right now. But yeah. So Mohammed says, should you make it accept numbers only? Mohammed, do you mean should I make the keyboard be number type only, or do you mean if I should? Are you wondering if this is a bad idea? Because I think the answer is probably yes. I'm just starting off here. Yeah, we can change the keyboard type here. So, or is it input type that it wants? No, I think it's keyboard options. Keyboard options, and then I think there's. Oh, well, maybe not. I don't want that. What is it that I'm looking for here? Maybe it is keyboard options. I just thought that, oh, keyboard type here, I see. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, so we've moved all of these sort of options here into a class, which does reduce the number of parameters on TextField. So I think it's a reasonable thing to do. I just wasn't aware of that. So let's say keyboard options equals keyboard options, and then what is this type? Keyboard type. keyboard type dot number. So that should get us that. Should you make it accept numbers only? And so if I do this, I wonder, let me just, let me see what this ends up, how this ends up working. Like there are a few things to consider here, because what a user might do is the user might type the parentheses or the dashes and stuff like that, or a plus for like international numbers. You also want to think about stuff like, you know, the pound sign and all this stuff. And so in general, whenever someone, if in this on value change, if you like legitimately reject a character that someone types, I think in general it's like, if it's not done very carefully in very specific situations, it can lead to like a pretty rough user experience. And so I don't generally endorse it, and I'm just using this here as a starting point, not necessarily where I think we'll end up. But let's just see if this works. So let's see, 555 1 2 3 4. Okay, so this works, and it allows me to, you know, enter in a hyphen, and a dot and a comma and stuff like that, and spaces. Okay, so cool. And I don't think that my regex really worked there. Funny, once upon a time I was like very good with regular expressions, and now I'm not. So let's see what happens. So, okay, so I was right actually, but I guess, Oh, I wonder if it was only replacing the first one. What does this do? So this replaces each substring. Hello, Alessandro. Okay. So, I mean, this regex looks like it's doing what I want, so I'm not sure. Oh, I guess this from literal is not what I want. So I want the pattern. Okay, that was the problem. So let's see. So I guess the regex from literal just didn't do what I thought it did. So this now, if I type in numbers, the numbers work. And if I type in a hyphen or periods or anything like that, then they get rejected. Okay. And so what I could do here is I could just start. I could insert the sort of hyphenation and stuff in here. And at this point, I would assume that text was just numbers because I've sort of sanitized it that way on the on value change, which again, I'm not super sure that's what we want to do, but let's see here. So all right, what I want to do is let's get the so let's just get the characters here, and I just getting the text. So raw text, and so let's see our text. Let's assume that our text field, or that we're going to display it in a way that is like +1 parentheses 555 444 dash 6666. And this will be interesting. Okay, so let's ignore the like +1 part for a moment, because these are all going to be set up here. Hey Joe NRV, how's it going? So all right, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna say country code string val, what is this called? Area code string, and first numbers string val, second numbers string. And then let's say when raw text length okay, so when the length of it is like, what experience do we want to give people when they're first typing this in? So let's say they start typing this in and they're saying 5554, right? What we want to do is we want to turn that into 5554. So in this case, if we say, I guess we don't need to do this. We can say country code substring 0 to, oh no, sorry, equals raw text substring and this will be 0, or we're skipping country code, aren't we? Oh, for the moment. Let's say when it's between 0 and 3, 7, 10, when it's 0 to 10, do this, else do that. Country code, area code 0 to 3. First numbers 3 to 6. I think I'm having off by 1 errors here, but let's just see. Text, substring, and then this is 6. Let's see, what do we? All right, I got a little bit of spam here. KBT Irie says changing the text value like that causes some issues. 1, put the cursor in the middle and type in valid characters. The cursor moves even though we are not accepting some characters. My phone's keyword suggestions still consider those characters. Yeah, so KBT Irony, you're exactly right. I'm not necessarily going to reject the characters here. I'm gonna try and handle some things a little bit more thoughtfully, so that the issues that you are talking about don't happen. Because I totally agree. It's almost always a bad idea to reject characters. It just like creates bad experiences. Okay. Let's see, country code. And then what does substring do if we're out of bounds here? I'm assuming this is going to give me like an out of bounds error, but we'll find out. So here's what I want to do is I want to so then we'll append the area code here and first numbers, second numbers, and then I want to create a style here. Let's just say private val muted style, equals span style color equals color.gray. Okay, try that. And unit style. So in this case, the punctuation and stuff that we're adding around this, we'll have in like a lighter color, like a gray instead of a black for the non-numbers. And then what I'd like to do is like fill in the remaining numbers with like number signs if they're not there, right? So and I think what we can do is okay. So let's say for area code, if area code length is less than 3, then what we do is we append, so let's say with style, muted style, can I repeat a string here? So repeated. Okay, so then it's going to be 3 minus area code length. All right. And I'm just going to turn that into a brief utility function here. This will be private annotated string builder dot well, I don't want to. I'm not going to go through the trouble of making it dry just yet because we're probably going to tweak some stuff anyway. So first numbers, and then second numbers. And this is 4. All right. Let's see what this does. This is probably gonna blow up in my face here, mostly because I think substring will not allow out of bounds indexes, but we'll see. By the way, for anyone tuning in, we've got a few more viewers now than we did when we started. So I'm trying to like stress test the TextField APIs and implement some like realistic use cases, but things that are like a little more advanced than just using it in the obvious fashion. And so if you have ideas on what I could do, or like what sort of complicated TextField use cases are, please let me know and like make suggestions in the chat. I'm very interested in getting more ideas here. So yeah, this failed. String index out of bounds exception. That's fine. I'm just gonna make a fun string dot substring safe and start index and index. I'm just gonna make that start and end, and then this will give us a string. So let's see. If end is greater, let's see, end is greater than length. Well, actually, here, let's do when start is greater than length. And really, it's length minus 1, I guess. So in this case, we're just going to return empty string here. Basically, the entire range is out of bounds. And then if the end is greater than length minus 1, actually, do I want to subtract 1 here? So let's say I have a string of length 1, then this will be 0. I'm starting greater than 0. Yeah, so I do want to subtract there, but I don't here. Yeah, all right. So if end is greater than length, then we're going to return just the substring from start onward, and then otherwise we're going to do substring start end. Could use last index. Oh, is that a thing? Nice, I like that. Okay. Start is greater than last index. If end is greater than, I guess, that kind of makes the most sense there. Thanks for that tip, Lewis. Also good to see you here, Lewis. I'm not sure I've seen you in my stream before, but good to see you out there. Okay, so now I think I can just replace this with that, which seems reasonable. And this offset map is going to be wrong now. I wonder what. I'm not going to mess with it right now. I wonder what it'll break though if I don't. We'll find out, I guess. No value passed for end. I see. Let's index. Okay, that's pretty cool, right? So this, you know, because of this, like now this is what our text field kind of looks like with an empty value, which is neat. Let's just start typing a number here. So 555. Yeah, so I'm guessing if I correct the offset map, then the selection here will be different, right? Because right now the cursor's at the 3rd position because I've typed in 3 characters, but visually my cursor should be at the 4th character now because of the starting parenthesis. So let's just keep typing, see what happens there. Okay, that's cool. What happens here? Okay, so there's a bug. At some point, I allow 4 numbers in the parentheses. Why is that? I guess it's because this is wrong. So the end index is exclusive. So it's weird that that changes over time. So that includes the 3rd character. Or do I want to make this 2? So it's, what did I just read a second ago? So the end index is exclusive. So that means 3 won't include the 4th character, which is what we want. And then 3 will include the 3rd character. So that's the problem. Then we want the 4, what's this, 7? Docs of substring say an ending right before the end index, right? So if we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? So then what we want is 0 to 3 and 3 to 6. And then 6 onward, right? That looks right. And then this code I think is correct. So there's an issue in our substring safe function. What's the issue in the substring safe? So, nope, still did it. Okay. If n's greater than. Oh, is it? Because the start is inclusive, so if start includes the last index. I see. So if this is length, yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying. Is this what you're saying? End is, yeah. Nope, still broken. I'm gonna use length here. Okay, so that looks like it worked. Okay. Cool. Okay, so yeah, definitely. This is exactly the type of code that you would want to unit test. Okay, so this will be interesting. So let's see. What I want to do here is so this takes the original string, which is the value, and that's just the numeric characters here, and it will we want to return the index in the transform string. And so if the offset is in 0 to 1, or this range is not inclusive, is it? Let me just, I don't want to use the subject here. So let's just say when offset is let's do these two characters here. So right now we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5, dash 6, 7, 8, 9. And here we've got 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Right? So the offset is less than 3. What I want to do is return offset plus 1. If offset is less than 6, return offset plus 2. And then otherwise, we will return offset plus 3. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add this 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Well, I guess that was unhelpful. So this takes a transformed offset. So if it's 0 or 1, let's just say is equal to 1, we're going to return 0. And if it is less than, so the transformed offset, if we are for less than 4, then we're going to return offset minus 1. And then if we're less than 8, we're going to return offset -2. And then otherwise, we'll return offset -3. Carson asks, will this support arbitrary number groupings for different locales? Right now, probably not, no. And I mean, so like you can see up here, I kind of ignored the country code for the time being. And I think realistically, we wouldn't want to. One of the things I'm like, I guess I'm not trying to necessarily write code that is like perfect, production ready, but what I do want to do is write enough code to where I can see the finish line, right? Like I can understand the different pieces that someone would need to do to implement a certain behavior. And so I'm sort of going through some of the motions here, but there's likely a much better way to implement some of this logic in a locale specific way. Yeah, so like you would probably want to look at the the first numbers or something and allow the user to type in plus for different country code, which I may try and do here or something. I'm not sure, but I want to just first try and get this offset thing working so that typing in at least just numbers seems reasonable. So let's do this. All right, so you can see now that when I tapped into the text field, my cursor is now inside of the parentheses, which is pretty neat. So that wasn't happening before. And so when I type in my second 5 here, I think my cursor will jump to the next number sign, which it did. So that's really cool. And let's see what happens if I go in and I select the middle here. And let's say I hit backspace and then hit 4 and all that. So that seems to work as expected. And so this is pretty neat. I mean, this isn't bulletproof, but this demonstrates what you can do with the visual transformation. So I like that. Okay. All right. I think I might call this example done. I think there's definitely more that we could do here, but I learned more about the visual transformation class, and we implemented a reasonably functional something in it. So that's cool. But I think now let's go to a different different example. Where's my top level function? Here we go. So let's just jump back up here. And we'll put that there. Okay. So this is also a pretty basic example, but I think it's an important one and I want to go through the motions, you know, myself here on stream to play it out. So let's do fun basic form. Let's implement a basic form, and one of the things I want to focus on is going between form fields and establishing focus and things like that, right? So let's do this. Value 1. Let's just do 4 values here. And 4 so I want a column and TextField value 1 on value value 1 equals it. Okay. And value 2 value 4 I don't know if we want like a button or anything like that, but it might just be useful to so Carson said will it support arbitrary number groupings for different locales? Oh, and then sorry, I already asked or spoke of that. I see. I thought you were working on the actual API. Literally typing a question about navigating focus between fields. Is there a plan for a form composable that handles it automatically? So the question is there plans for form composable that handles it automatically? There's no plan for such a thing in like a 1.0 timeframe. Maybe down the road. I think one of the things that we're like looking for is just some letting that kind of incubate in the community a little bit. I think that how you deal with forms, it really varies a lot, like depending on your design. I mean, I've seen forms implemented 1,000 different ways, and so a kind of generic form composable, I think, would be difficult to do in a way that makes everyone happy. And I think the hope is that, you know, there's some innovation in the community. Like maybe there's a, you know, a form library here and there that takes a stab at implementing this cleanly and intuitively. And, you know, if one of these ends up being kind of like the de facto way to do this, then maybe we'll you know, adopt a similar thing. But it's not in the plans right now. So I guess that's the shorter answer. Okay, so let's just see what this does, just point blank. And you know, there's also, I think it's reasonable for us to include a label here, value 1. Since we're like doing a whole form thing, value 2, value 3, value 4. So the first thing I want to see is just what the Like how is this just handled if I just don't touch focus at all or anything? How does this deal with it? Okay. So I can start typing in here. This is value 1. And so there's no IME action or anything. So there's no like next button, which basically means that it's up to me to kind of toggle between these. Value 2, and so forth, right? So that makes sense. Nothing crazy. So now let's play around with the IME action. What is this here? Hey buddy, my dog just came in. Oh my goodness. No. So let's see, it looks like it's getting a little bit darker here. Okay. Interesting. So I mean, this API has changed a little bit since I last really took a look at it. So I think keyboard options, yeah, keyboard options has the IME action here. Okay. So So let's say that keyboard options here, keyboard options, ME action, next. You know, this feels weird that there's two of these. Text semantics properties. Just kind of a bummer that we're not smarter about importing the right one. I think it makes sense maybe that both of those are named IME action, but well, I don't know. Let's yeah, I'll think about that. We have two IME actions. Sad face. Oh, sorry, let me open up Studio again. Okay, so now we're saying that the IME action is next for these three, and then maybe it's done for this one, right? Then I don't think there's any default behavior here, but I would be pleasantly surprised if there was. Let me see if that's what happens. Okay. Implement this here. I say hello. Okay, so yeah, it just does nothing. No, which is fine. It'd be nice if it did, but I'm not sure how hard that would be to implement. We should think about it. So then what I want here is on IME action performed. And what does this get? This gets an IME action and a keyboard controller. I'm not sure I love this whole pattern here, but so software keyboard controller. What does this give me? This gives me show and hide and notify. Yeah, I don't think this is the best text input started. Like, I don't like that I have to, like, here's a situation. Like, yeah, this is kind of a problem here. Let's see. So let's do this. Equals. Let's say we had a button that said like focus value 3, right? Enter value 3. Let me see what I think about this. I'm not sure that the controller here, the soft keyboard controller, should be passed into these events as opposed to, like, you know, having something like soft controller equals, remember, soft keyboard, software keyboard controller, you know, or something like this. Equals, I don't know. I need to think about this more, but it feels weird to have this passed only in through this thing here, because then what if I need to use it somewhere else, or like if I want to save it or something like that, then I start writing weird looking code. So yeah, not sure about this yet. Okay. So if I want to deal with focus here, I think what I want to do is give this a modifier, focus. Yeah. Focus one. Focus requester. So we have this focus requester class. Let's see how much I like this pattern here. So we've got focus 1 and 2, 3, and 4. What did I do wrong? Focus API is experimental, likely to change. Okay. Yeah. So this becomes that. And we can add that to these things here. And then this becomes focus 2, focus 3, focus 4. All right, and then here, I guess what I do is, let me change these to vowels here. Focus 3 dot request focus. Let's see what happens if I do this. Okay. So I can still focus these independently low. And if I hit enter value 3, then that gets focus. All right. And then, what I can do here is I can say focus 2 dot request focus. And do that for this. And then this is interesting. So I mean, I wonder what the difference here is between like me. Well, I can say free focus, and I can also say hide software keyboard. I don't know if that's what I want, but let's see what happens when I say free focus. Yeah, so Alessandro says, is there a way to drag and drop sort a list with lazy column 4, like the playing next list in YouTube Music and item drag helper for recycler view? I know that this is a use case that people have talked about, but I don't think that there's like a nice plug and play solution right now. I think there might be something theorized in a doc or something, but I haven't seen the specifics of it. Okay, so now what I can do is I can say hello, and then when I hit next, it'll go to the next field. What I don't like is that the keyboard is like, it's kind of popping in and out here. The other thing is apparently this free focus, I'm not sure what that does, but it doesn't appear to be removing focus for me. So, and I'm not sure if that's working as intended or what, but calling focus.free focus and on IME action doesn't seem to do anything. Now I can also try, let me try doing that hide software keyboard. No, that might do something. But it seems like a bug here, or at least what I would consider a bug, is that when I have value 2 focused, for instance, and I hit next, which is going to cause value 3 to request focus, the keyboard kind of flips down and back up, and it shouldn't do that. So that I think is a bug. And switching focus between text fields, the keyboard seems to flip closed, open real quick. Okay. So that's kind of buggy. Let me see if this hide software keyboard works real quick. Let me just try that out. So yeah, so like, I mean, when I hit done, it does hide the keyboard and stuff, and so that's all good and dandy, I guess. But I'm a little bit bummed that the free focus doesn't work. And sort of real high level view, I think this is, oh gosh, what am I? Oh, sorry. Fearless Cobra, why did you play Womp? Did you just I've been trying to reserve that sound for me not having the screen visible, but it's weird to create a focus requester for every field. Maybe one focus requester that takes some args. Yeah, I think that's potentially valid. Fearless Cobra, no worries. I was just wondering. I mean, it's not a big deal. I tried to create that sound as like a way to alert me that I'm not. If I'm writing code, but the stream is only looking at like my face or something, and so it's like a way for the audience to let me know that I'm not sharing the right part of my screen. Okay, so Ali, your point here is kind of exactly what I was gonna say. Like basically, and I'm not sure that a single like focus requester with an argument or something is the right approach or not. But what I am a little bit disappointed in is how cumbersome this very basic functionality is, right? Where I kind of want there to be a default way for next to like just go to the next field, or for me to write code that just tells the underlying system, you know, find the next focusable thing in the hierarchy and like give it focus, and that's about it. Fearless Cover says, I'm a second year undergrad studying computer science in Ireland. Glad to be here. Yeah, thanks for joining in. Glad you're here. So that I think is my biggest piece of feedback, is that there should be like some way to just kind of go to next or something, you know? Like I could even imagine, like for instance, if we had one of these things that was like, let's call it focus parent, right? It'd be nice to be able to pass this into focus requester, focus parent, right? It'd be nice to be able to pass this in there, and so like I could actually, you know, maybe I call this like I can just call this the focus requester, right? And what I'd like to be able to do is just kind of say focus requester next, right? And and like that should be able to say, okay, you know, like, because when the IME action is performed, we kind of know that this text field has the it's got focus, and so we want to just say, okay, we'll go to next. I mean, the other thing is that, like, I could see, like, you could imagine on IME action performed being part of the keyboard actions class, keyboard options, and then you could imagine like a sort of shortcut here where you could have like a keyboard options.next, which is going to encompass the behavior of having an IME action next on the keyboard and handling it and saying that when IME action next, or when the IME action is hit, then just like tell the focus system to shift focus to like whatever the next form field is in the hierarchy. So I think that would be nice as well. And so then, like, you know, like that would be, I'm trying to think if on IME action performed being part of keyboard options makes sense here. It might, not sure. But then I'd only have to specify this, and this isn't so bad. And then I wouldn't need to specify this focus requester. Yeah. Need to think about this more. I mean, bottom line is, you know, I think this is too cumbersome right now, and there's some changes that make it less so, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that's too specific of a use case. So focus to request focus. So yeah, I think we should consider all that. Oh, whoops! I just like put my phone to sleep. And so, like, I'm wondering what are all the use cases for the hide software keyboard and the keyboard controller. Like, it feels weird. I mean, because this the software keyboard controller, so it has an input session token. Show software keyboard. What does this do? Notify the IME about the currently focused rectangle. Do nothing if bound text field loses the input session. Like, I think maybe what we should have here Especially because like this has no guarantee and anything like that. I think that this controller here should just be hoistable, and we should just say, well, I don't know. I'm not sure about this. Because like you could imagine, like I'm just doing something like this, and then maybe that's passed into the text field directly. But the problem with that is, like, what if I pass it into two text fields? Then, because at that point, then this token is going to be different, and so not really sure. My thinking was that we could just have this class, and then these things get like late bound because you're passing it in here, and then you could call this controller anywhere you wanted, like right here, and that's pretty similar to like this focus requester thing. But I'm just wondering if this is useful, because like what's the advantage if free focus works? I'm not sure why I would ever use this instead of just using the focus requester and then hit request focus. So I don't know. I'm thinking through some of this. Alessandra says, wouldn't this and other problems be solved if the composable could be assigned to a variable? I'm curious about the reason why the team chose not to allow it. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of reasons. Like this kind of goes pretty deep into some of the philosophy here, but I mean there's not much difference between like me saying here's this controller and let me pass it in, and then like I could on the other hand say this, but now where I place this text field determines where I can then use this controller, and so we don't want that. And like ultimately there's as soon as you start giving people like variables that sort of represent the things on screen, that's when it starts to become sort of seductive or like appealing for those objects to start taking operations that then let you tweak them. And what happens then when you have a reference to that thing and you're like saving it and that thing is like off screen or like completely gone or whatever. And so the whole programming model behind Compose is that when this function gets called, we want to describe what that screen looks like at that point in time, and then we can bind some behavior that results from that snapshot in time, that encodes what to do when certain things happen. And so we're trying to create focus in that sort of world. And focus is one of the things that is notoriously difficult in this world, because focus is an inherently like global concept. It is something that there is no, you can't create a local source of truth for focus. you're communicating with a global system, and so the most that you can do is sort of, you know, suggest, hey, move focus here, or something like that. So focus is one of the most clunky things to get right in the declarative kind of paradigm. Okay, so I think I have a handful of like pain points here that I think I want to bring to the team. I'm trying to think of like, you know, ways to, like, what are some solutions here, I think is the question. And this is where I think someone could build like a pretty nifty like form library, you know, on top of this. And, you know, someone had asked about that earlier, of like, are we going to provide a form composable or anything like that? And I don't think we are, not anytime soon. We're trying to kind of deliver some more foundational APIs that you can build stuff on top of, and a form library would be one of those things that you could build on top of this. And so I am curious, like, what people end up building. Like, I want people to go out and try to make working with forms easy and simple, and we'll kind of see what comes of it. But you know, the focus requester stuff, I think is a good building block. But I think one of the things that is missing here is automatic navigation of focus. I want the focus system to understand where things are in the hierarchy, and to be able to move to the natural sort of next item, right? Like, this is what talkback and like all these things have to do. They have to understand what's in the hierarchy and how to navigate to the next thing. And focus should have this information too, this capability. So I don't think there's anything preventing that. Yeah. I need to think about it some more. Okay. That's pretty good. All right. I think what I'm gonna call this example done for now. The next one I want to implement is we talked about this like type ahead type situation. Oh, and you know what? I mean, so someone asked me earlier to look at a gist. That was KPT Irony, who's still here. So you React controlled focus. You just sent me. I'll take a look at that. So KPT Irony asked me to look at this code earlier. Let me pull it up. So you asked, why does this work and how is it not magic? Or how is it magic or something like that? Yeah, so I mean, this is a cool little composable, right? So this current time composable is a composable function that returns a string, and it launches a coroutine, which just updates the like current time value constantly. And so KBT Irony wants to I'm probably pronouncing your username so wrong. Sorry for that. But wants to know how this works, right? And so the answer is that composables that return values, they don't, like when they invalidate, what they do is they invalidate the scope that called them. And so what happens is, like, we end up having recomposed scopes all through the hierarchy. And a loose rule of thumb is that recomposed scopes only exist on composable functions that return unit. And so my screen would be an example of a recomposed scope. And so what happens is this mutable state of object is created in the myScreen recompose scope. And it's also read in the myScreen compose scope. So state.value here is the read. And it's that read, when you call .value, that causes the myScreen recompose scope to essentially subscribe to this state value. And so then what happens is when state.value updates, right, inside of this suspend function, then that schedules a recomposition for the scope that was bound to it, right? So my screen. So then my screen recomposes, and it calls this, and the new value for that state object gets returned, and then you end up rendering that here. And you're right that that's like crazy and interesting and weird and magical in some ways and like all that. This is like kind of what I mean when I say that composable functions abstract over time, because you're able to store this notion of current time in a variable that's just a string, even though that string changes over time. And so normally, you would need like a reference to a string or something to encode that information. And so the way compose sort of gets around that is it says, you can just use a string. You can hold on to a string and deal with that as that snapshot in time. And we'll call you again whenever that snapshot in time is invalid. And that could be every frame, or it could be never. We'll kind of figure that out for you. But that, what it does is it allows you to write the logic in terms of just a string, which is the nice part. That's the part where you end up simplifying a lot of these things, because you don't need the new abstractions that build over time and stuff like that. So anyway, that's why that works. I hope that was helpful. So I'll jump back over to IntelliJ here. And so let's do a type ahead example. And now what I'm going to do is let's imagine that we have a list of items here. Bar, Baz, hello, etc. Right? And yeah, that's correct. Current time doesn't have its own recompose scope. So instead of a string value for this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a TextField value, and I'm going to initialize it to an empty string. Value. And let's give a text field here. Value equals value, and on value change. And so here's the interesting bit, right? So every time the value changes, what I want to do is I want to grab, so let's see. Result equals. So if I type in F, then what I want to find is foo, which is the item in the list that prefixes with this. So let's just say items dot first or null, where it that starts with, let's call this next, right? And then it starts with next dot text. And so then if result is not null, then what I want to do is I want to set value equal to text field value, where the string is result here, and selection let's see, so val prefix equals next dot text. Let's do that. Prefix. And then so we found a result and we have a prefix here. So next dot copy. I don't know if I want to do that or not here. See, it says I should use copy. Yeah, let's see what that looks like. But I think let's see what this ends up like. So what I want the selection to be is everything after prefix, right? So I'm essentially overriding the selection here. Which this is gonna be weird if I type back. I'll need to think about that. So here I want it to start at prefix.length and end at results.length. Or do I want it to be last index here? I'm not sure. And then composition, I'm honestly not really sure what composition should be here. Like I think we might. See, I mean, I'm curious what you think for this use case, because this is a little bit weird. It's like I'm almost emulating what composition is in my text field, and so I'm not really sure what the right thing to do with it is. So then in this case, if there is no prefix, then I'm just going to set value to next. Sure, and then we can lift the assignment out. So I'm curious what happens here. There's a long string. Let's do a long string in there. Show that as well. Elliot says, not sure if you're aware of it, Intelligible, but you and I are featured Twitch channels on Android Dev Notes GitHub. Cool. Sweet. I don't. Do you have like a link to that or something? That'd be great. Okay, so here's our text field. Wow. So that's interesting. So I just tapped in there and it immediately like filled out foo, which makes a little bit of sense. I should handle like the empty case, right? I think if next.text.length let's just say is empty value equals next, something like that. Yeah, I assume that you can post links in the chat. Okay, so we focused, and then if I start typing, I'm gonna start typing hello and see what happens here. So first of all, my selection is a little bit off. So let me see. So immediately the selection ended one index off, which naturally we have a off by one error here. Start playing that because I think that would end up doing some weird stuff. Okay. This is curious. I wonder like why next.text is empty, values next. Oh, because I see. Well, let me just if prefix dot is empty, then here we want this to be next. Let's just say or results is null, then it's next, else that. And all right, does that make sense? And I'm just gonna remove this. Okay, let's try that. All right, so I tap into the text field and it doesn't autocomplete to foo, which is good. So now if I type the exact string, this is kind of like working correctly. And then if I hit backspace, that's where like some weird stuff happens, right? Because I'm hitting backspace, but it's not like, I guess you'd kind of expect it like in the backspace case for the string to like expand or something. So that's kind of unfortunate. And then if I tap on this, it won't change my selection to the point that it was at. So I think, I mean, so the moving the selection, I think, is something that we can work out, because one thing we can say is let's see. So I wonder if we should just do this in a big when statement. I'll put those up here. So so when value.text equals prefix, actually, I think we can do this. So when the previous value is the next value, that means that selection probably changed. So in this case, we want to allow the change. We want to just say go for it. And so in this case, we're going to return next. And if prefix dot is empty, we're also going to return next. If result is null, we'll return next. I'm just going through all these different cases. And then else, and we might end up with something else here. Let's see. So let's see what that looks like. So Siemens says, I wonder what would happen if you set composition but not selection. Yeah, so I'm not sure that'll work because I thought that the IME didn't allow for you to set the composition explicitly. It was like you could only clear it or something like that. Is that right? Okay, so we say hello, this, and then that's interesting. So it does this weird thing with that, but let's see what happens. So if I tap somewhere on this, then it accepts the whole thing, which I think is okay. But yeah, the problem is that we can't backspace here. So we can handle that, the backspace case explicitly, but it's a little bit weird. So what happens if I select a part and then I hit backspace? That works. Okay, so maybe we do just need to handle it explicitly. So one option here is if next, or no, if value that starts with value.text that starts with value.text starts with so we hit backspace, and so text in both of these cases is going to be the same. What we want is we want the starting range, basically, the unselected range. Okay. Let's create a val TextField value dot unselected text. Yeah. And that would be what would that be? That would be remove text dot remove this dot why isn't I need to do this text dot remove range selection dot start selection dot end. All right. So what I want to see here then is if the unselected value, so value.unselected text starts with next.text. I think. And then in this case, what we do is we say, so the text here is still going to be result, and then the selection is going to be a little bit different. I guess actually I don't know if it should be any different than this. Hold on one second. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. So I'm struggling to wrap my head around this. I'm not sure if we need to do something different here. So basically we've oh, because you know what happens, I think, is that because there's a selection, when I hit backspace, it just removes the selection, and then it's like the same as the prefix. So what that means is that the unselected text equals, it equals the next.text. Which this is kind of unfortunate, because this is like a very specific, we're sort of inferring that this means this means that the user pressed delete, I think. And next.selection is empty. We should probably implement an is empty on, I guess there's a length. Okay. String, so length equals 0. So basically this means user hit backspace. Gross. Okay, and then yeah. All right. I guess what we want to do then here is this will be prefix.length -1. Yeah. All right, let's try that. I'm interested in like getting this to work, but I don't know. This is complicated logic. Like this use case, I think it's okay if the logic to implement it is pretty involved, but some of this is getting pretty hairy to the point where I'm feeling like something might be wrong. I'm not sure. So let's say hello. This is me typing, and then I'm gonna hit backspace. Okay, so then I go back here, and you know, if I wanted to start typing something different, then I could. And that like kind of works. I mean, it's pretty weird, but you know, the other cases when I go all the way back, then it's weird. So I should probably implement that. Well, I don't know. We'll see. So then this works. I don't know. It's kind of interesting. See, I mean, I'm curious what you think about this. Is this an acceptable solution here for this? So what happens when I type in, so if I delete some of this, and then this will be a little bit weird, I think. So if I type in O here, it's gonna be fooled into shifting my cursor elsewhere. Yeah. So that's kind of gross. Timon says, I think visual transformation is better for highlights. Yeah. That's a I mean, I think that this is... Let's implement this a different way. So, here's, let's say this is type ahead 1, right? I have a different, let's say type ahead 2. Where we can implement this as just a string. Yeah. So let's say we'll make a visual transformation. Let's say type ahead transformation, visual transformation. Let's say it'll accept some items here. And so then what we're going to do is we're going to get the text that the user wrote. and I'm thinking we'll basically implement this here. So we'll say prefix equals text.text, and the result will be items. Oh, okay, so then let's say return when and we'll have a similar thing here. So I don't think we want that. So when prefix is empty, we'll just return text. And when the result is null, we return transform text. So let's see. Transformed text. And then is this? I think it would make sense for the offset map here for a default value of identity offset map. I'll add that as a feedback here. Transformed text constructor could have a default offset map of identity. Okay. So for this, let's just say or result equals null. So in that case, we do nothing. And then let's not implement this case. And then here, we want the so here we're gonna do an annotated string, and we're gonna append the prefix, and with style here, span style. Let's just make it like a muted color. We could, you know, make it highlighted or something if we wanted to. That would also be like a thing. So this is like slightly different behavior, but we could make it the same if we wanted to. And then here I'm gonna say result dot substring, and then we're gonna start with prefix dot length here. So then we're appending the rest of that with the prefix. Now the offset map, I'm not sure what we want here, because I guess the question is what happens when someone taps to select past the prefix. And this is where it's a difference in behavior, but let's just go through the motions and see what we can do here. So when we go to original, then it ends up being the same, but then this one ends up being a little bit different. So we want to take the offset dot coerce at most results, or no, prefix dot length here. I think that's what we want. Okay, and so then to use this, we can, let's just say transformation equals remember typed transformation items, something like that. And then here we'll just say value equals it. And visual transformation will be that. Oh, we want to do this val items. Okay. So let's see what this looks like. I think it's gonna kind of work. I think it'll be pretty cool. So type ed 2, what we want to show here. Type ed 2, build with that. So Simon, you think I should use identity? The identity mapping? Because I think the problem might be that someone can tap later in the transform text, which includes the suffix like typed part, but that's not part of the value. Okay, so maybe I misunderstood that. All right, so let's start typing here. Let's just say hello. This is a long story, long string, so this. And then what happens when I type in here? So if I type on the end of the string, the focus doesn't change. If I type here, then it moves appropriately. So that's all good. The problem is that this isn't all that useful. I mean, it shows people the remaining string, but we have to give them a way to like use that string, right? And we could like, you know, when it loses focus or something, we could just auto complete it out. But I don't know. I mean, I guess it really just depends like what it is that you're wanting to accomplish here. Like if you want the value of this text field to be one of the items in the list, Pixel right now accepts a swipe to accept. Oh yeah, we've got like a similar behavior in like Gmail and stuff, right? We should see what that does. Pull up. Hello. Let me see. All right, so yeah, I mean, Gmail's like compose thing has a similar deal. And if I shift the focus to be like down, like to be like down the string, then it'll include it in the value. And so I'm not sure how to do that. Like I think would we need a tap handler or something? Like what I want is if I tap here, I want to get some event that like tells me where I tapped, I guess. And then I would, if there's like a remaining string, then I would mutate the value at that point. Which I want to see what happens here. If I do that, okay, it does the whole thing. All right, so I think I'll need to figure out how to do that. But okay, it is 4:50. I have a meeting in 10 minutes that I need to prepare for a little bit. So I'm gonna end the stream here. Thank you everyone for joining in. This was a fun stream. I enjoyed the format, you know, where like I'm just kind of implementing some random things, but they're just like small examples, like proofs of concept, I guess. But let me know if you found it useful or not. Like if you liked this more or less than kind of some of the other dogfooding things that we've been doing, I'd be interested to know. Yeah, so I'm gonna head out. Thank you for tuning in. Let's see, what's today? Wednesday? Yeah, so I don't know. I'll try and do a stream either tomorrow or Friday, but I'm not gonna make any promises just because my schedule's been really crazy with all the house stuff going on. And I really haven't been able to keep to the schedule as well as I thought I would be able to. But sorry about that. Hopefully, you know, we'll kind of get into a groove of things, and I'll be back to like the full schedule soon. But in the meantime, appreciate all of you, and I'll see you next time.